You're listening to Broncos for Breakfast with Nick Kendell and Scott Kennedy. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com for all things Broncos. Good morning, Broncos country.
All right, 4 check marks. Let's get that last one going before we officially are talking about football. Blah, 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 blah. All right, there we go, guys.
Blah, blah, blah around here.
Oh, man, that's the state of being. Welcome in, guys. Tuesday morning, 6:30 a.m., 7:30 Mountain Time, 9:30 where Scott is on the East Coast, and it is time for Broncos for Breakfast. I am your co-host, Nick Kendell, along with my friend and co-host, Scott Kennedy. Scott, how are you doing? Welcome back. Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, it's good to be here. It's nice having some football under our belts. As I talked about the nice cool July we had in the South, August has answered with flurry. So it was 98 last week. So it got warm. Summer has arrived.
I'm doing well myself. Got back from that backpacking trip. It was a little overcast, but the mountain was out, so can't complain too much. Saw a good bit of wildlife, and we did 2 days, 1 night instead of 3 days, 2 nights. So I'm like, hey, my buddy's in from Denver, and I'm like, hey, you want to go do a day hike today? So we drove 4 hours to the coast, did a 10-mile ocean hike, and came upon a bear like way too close. It just scared the heck out of us. But it was really cool.
Black bear, I'm assuming.
A black bear, yeah. I was just digging through finding crabs. So there's not grizzlies west side of the Cascades.
Black bears are more like big raccoons.
Yeah.
Just don't do anything stupid, and they're not going to mess with you. I mean, you mess with a raccoon, he'll tear you up too.
That's absolutely true. That's what they say about me. No, but yeah, welcome in everybody. It's Broncos for Breakfast. You guys can find Scott and us both on Twitter. Scott at Scout Kennedy and myself at Nick Kendell MHH. While you're there, make sure you follow us at Huddle Up Pod and at Mile High Huddle. Guys, if you're joining us today on Facebook, please click those thumbs up. We don't have any reactions yet for those Facebook watchers. So what's going on? That's hurtful. I know we have Facebook eyeballs in here, so click the thumbs up, click the heart react for everybody joining us on Facebook today. Go to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. Become a supporter, and there you go. You guys answered. We got the wow from Tim Durr. There you go, Tim.
Call to action. Yeah,
exactly. Benton's in the house. DeAndre Witherspoon, Albert Knoppers. Thank you guys very much for the thumbs up, the likes, and from Tim Durr, the wow react. Rigo Sayalis also coming in with the like. If you guys are joining us on YouTube today, I know that a majority of our watchers join us on YouTube. Not everybody. We got Twitch, we got Periscope, we got Facebook, but join us on YouTube today. Please subscribe, like, and share. Find our channel, milehighhuddle.com, where you're watching it right now, and hit that subscribe button. That way you guys can know when we go live. You can join us. We have shows every week, every single day, and we have our morning shows now too with Broncos for Breakfast. So the season's coming up. You guys are going to want to make sure that you get your Broncos content, and do that by joining us and subscribing, liking, and sharing our channel. While you guys are doing that, if you like football, the Broncos, but you want even more football, Broncos for Breakfast doesn't fill your appetite enough, you guys can go and follow Scott's channel. Also, I'm posting it in the comments right now, and you guys can go to youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. I'll put it up here as well, youtube.com/C/Kennedy. You guys click that. And Scott, what's new on there? I always like to let you.
I was thinking about doing a Falcons for lunch today at noon Eastern. So take a small break after this one and then talk some rookies. Again, if I'm involved, we're talking draft. We're talking rookies. We're talking player personnel. That's what stirs, the straw that stirs my drink, not necessarily any specific team, which is why I like talking about other teams and multiple teams. Having cut my teeth in this industry with NFL draft and college football recruiting, I was always involved with multiple teams. So that's if you're in there and a Broncos fan, and even if it's a Falcons chat, we'll find something to talk about. I promise you.
Yeah, absolutely. How about flipping Falcons? You can have like an image of a falcon on a grill, like perfect out there. Also,
it's the one I'm used to here is the falcon upside down holding a drink that's passed out and drunk. That's the one we usually have around in Atlanta with our Falcons here.
Is Kanye West still hanging out in the Falcon Stadium? Have you seen that stuff?
I think so. I think he's supposed to move out on Friday. And he may not. The Falcons have a scrimmage on Saturday at the Benz, but Kanye West has been living in there since he did his show
release,
so to speak, his live party with 40,000 people, and just liked it so much he stayed. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I've said forever, I mean, this is such a mecca for music and entertainment. I'm like, why can't we just turn this into Showtime South? Like, somebody get Tyler Perry floor seats with the Atlanta Hawks and turn him into Jack Nicholson of the new generation, for God's sakes.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. Somebody talk to you, Scott. Get it happening. We got Mo Ron in the house saying, dang, gonna miss today's show. Thought it was 7:30 Mountain Time, Mo. I think you're in Arizona. So we got Dave Glassman was in the house saying working, so likely won't be in the chat. That's okay. I'll be listening though. Thanks for brightening my Tuesday and Thursday mornings. Well, Dave, that means a lot. We got Willie in back. I guess who's back, fellas, of course. Good to see you, Willie. James Holloway, morning, fellas. Real football starts today. I'm calling a K-Jack and Judy scrum today. Ooh, Jerry Judy fighting. I don't know if he's done much of that, but that'd be interesting. The pads are on, so that's great. We're gonna get today matters as much as any football we've had all year, so that's fantastic. I guess since the Super Bowl. EJ's in the house. Good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. James Holloway saying, another fight here. Maybe Cushenberry and Alexander Johnson. See, I think you got some odds there. In the shop, giving me a hard time. Nick, you're late. We were 1 minute late. It's okay. U.S. Dave's in the house. Morning. Tim Durr's in the house. Morning. Thank you very much for the wow.
It's 9:31 my time. I'm getting antsy. Hit live, man. Hit live.
Oh man, I'm running on so little sleep, and I've walked probably I think 35 miles in the last 3 days. So my body, I just downed energy drink that I had in my fridge because I woke up at.
Recover a lot faster than us old dudes, though. That puts me down for 3 days.
I'm just like sleepy tired. My legs are good, but I have like bruises on my collarbones from the bag because I was carrying so much because the wife didn't carry as much, but that's okay. But we got Caden in the house saying, who do you guys want to win this QB battle? I want Drew. Let's get into Caden's here real quick. Who do you want to win this, Scott? You're a non-biased observer, which I really appreciate. I think we need more people like that in this space. Do you have rooting interest when it comes to this quarterback
best
battle?
Man. Plain and simple.
Best man.
May the best man win. I don't have any personal attachment to either one of these players. I think it's probably better. This isn't a bold statement here. I think it's better for the Broncos if Drew Lock wins it, and not by default, not because Teddy goes out and throws a bunch of interceptions like he did on Saturday, but because he wins it. Because Drew Lock takes the reins and wins the job and makes it his own and earns another contract and becomes a quarterback of the future for the Denver Broncos. That's what's best for the Broncos. But as far as watching this season, may the best man win.
Yeah, I am pulling for Drew just because it's better for the Broncos. I believe if Drew is the better quarterback, and I want this team to be as good as possible. But that's what I'm going for. Scott, I never noticed you had a little dude behind you before.
I just added that's actually a phone holder penguin. I'm like, I need the back of my my desk back here. I need some character back here. My Diamondbacks hat wasn't really showing up as well. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna add the phone holding penguin today and see who notices. I was like, what the absolute heck is that? Did he take that to character to a generic, green background there? So
it was more like
change it up. My daughter's got about 700 or 800 Beanie Boos, so I might change it out every so often. So.
Okay, well that's thank God. If you'd have told me that it had been there the whole time, I probably would have had a little bit of a crisis because I'm like, I know I'm tired, but now I'm actually seeing things.
What are you talking about? There's nothing there.
Oh my God, it looks like nothing to me.
Hi, Nick. Good morning.
James is in the house. Wish I could make a practice. Going to be some hitting going on today, which will be great. We're actually going to get an idea about the offensive line, trench play, running backs more than we have all week. So or all month. So thanks to the comment, James. Tim saying morning. Yep. Caden in the house. Oh, we already got that one. Brent in the house. Good morning, Broncos country. Been a while since I've been able to join. It has been a while, Brent. Hope you're doing well. Almost time. Purple Drank. Good morning to you. DeAndre Witherspoon. Albert Knoppers. Good to see you, Albert. Doing an awesome pose there. Looks like he's in front of the Broncos Stadium there. First super. Thank you so much. Anthony Bomer coming in with the $5 super and just stopping by to say hello. We really appreciate that over on YouTube, Anthony. It says, good morning, Broncos country. Go Broncos. Good morning to you, Anthony. Thank you so much for supporting us. If you guys want to be like Anthony, you guys can super chat, star, super sticker. Any of that works, and it's very helpful. over on Twitch. Good morning, Nick and Scott. Joey Richards is in the house. Joey, good to see you. Let's go. And DBA's in the house. Trevor Sandel. Jeremy's in the house. Dave Glassman also. Michael Ronquillo. And we got Roberts in the house with the super. Morning, guys. Let's all have an awesome week. Joe Harrington. Greg Smith. Aloha. taking your wind out. CC and Kayleon. Okay. I think we got to our hellos, goodbyes. We're talking a little bit of stock reports today. Shout out to Eric Trickle because he wrote these articles, and he's, congrats to Eric too. He actually just quit his security job. He's going to be writing and creating content for Mile High Huddle full time. So God bless him. He works as hard as anybody I know. So let's get into it first. Let's do the rookies first. Does that sound good to you, Scott?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so rookie reports so far. We have a 5 up, 5 down in practice, and he does it based on the draft order. And stock up, he has Patrick Surtain. So what have you heard? What have you seen about Patrick Surtain so far? And then I will read the comments here.
Basically just what we've expected. That he's going to be. We came in saying what position he's going to play. Don't know. He's so versatile. You can put him. He's going to play where he's needed. And then let him freelance a little bit, an Eric Berry style, one of those type. Eric Berry was a phenomenal corner safety that it could do a lot of things, just playmaker. And with his smarts, his size, his ability in coverage, you can do a lot of things with him. And I think you're going to see him be kind of a wild card out there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Eric writes, to put it simply, Surtain has mostly looked like a veteran out there. It hasn't been all perfect, which should be expected, but he is showing why Denver used a 9th overall pick on him. And he's been killing it so far. So that is fantastic to see. And, even if Justin Fields has been killing it, we should be happy about Patrick Surtain. This team needed a secondary, another building block piece back there, especially in today's NFL, where you need multiple guys in the secondary to hang in this AFC West. So Surtain being as good as he has been so far, as DBA says, a beast, that has been fantastic to see. And I know you got to be happy because, like you like to bring up, our very first show, it's like, what do the Broncos need? Well, this was prior to free agency, but cornerback.
Yeah, it was.
And Patrick Surtain's the guy. Lo and behold, even though they attacked it in free agency, Patrick Surtain is still the guy.
Yeah, when Chad invited me on, he's like, let's talk some draft. I'm like, well, what are the team needs? And he listed corner twice. So I was like, well, Patrick Surtain's the guy then. I think he's easily the best overall corner in this draft. And, sometimes not all drafts are created equally. You can have the best corner still not all that good. He's really good. So if you can take a really good corner in that spot, it just made sense. It made sense. Quarterback not withstanding here, Surtain made sense. And it's nice. Sometimes I feel like personnel guys and coaches try and show everybody how smart they are by doing stuff off the wall. I think it's actually kind of refreshing when they do the obvious. Sometimes the obvious is okay. You're allowed to fix, to do something that makes sense.
Yeah. Nope, absolutely. So Patrick Surtain, stock up. Next up, a guy that we both liked a lot coming into the draft, even though he's a running back, Javonte Williams. And Eric wrote, rookie running back is showing tremendous ability as a ball carrier and as a receiver. There isn't an issue when it comes to evaluating running backs without pads on, so giddy up today, guys. Because the run game requires physicality, then you can bring in those non-padded practices. Williams has garnered some good praise from teammates and a head coach already. It really isn't surprising that the second rounder is impressing, but he is a more physical runner. When the pads come on, that's when the true evaluation Williams will come. Everything coming out of practice makes it clear that he's running back 2 behind Melvin Gordon for now, and part of that is because the veteran has seemingly upped his game. So stock up for Javonte Williams while also being the clear-cut running back 2. I'd say that's a good thing. You have Melvin Gordon for one more year. He is still a talent. He was really good last year down the stretch. I don't think enough people give him enough credit for how good he was in those last 6-7 games. Small sample size, going up against bad defenses. Season lost, yes, but he was playing better. So what do you think? I guess I'm
going to blend this one into the next pick as well, because it was the same conversation that we had about Quinn Miners.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not Quinn Miners ends up being the guy, he's going to make Cushenberry better. So the center, the interior line position just got better because Quinn Miners is on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not he ends up being that guy or not, he's going to push the guys in front of him. Javonte Williams is going to push a guy in a contract year to be his absolute best. And that's the kind of thing I'll get it. I'll say it just once, and then I won't harp on it for the show. But the futures rankings from ESPN giving the Broncos front office bottom third grade was ridiculous. Because every time we look at this roster, we see competition for talented spots and a lot of money to work with, and good picks other than the quarterback position, which is a question mark. But, that's a different conversation. So Javonte Williams coming in is a very talented running back, pushing a guy in the final year of his contract. Melvin Gordon is upping his game, and Javonte Williams, if he ends up being a reserve, fine. If Melvin Gordon is a superstar, that's all you're at. That's what you want, right?
100%. Yep, all the way. Especially because you have 4 years of control for Javonte Williams. He was split carries at North Carolina as well. Maybe he's not ready to be the full-time guy. That's okay. He's a 4-year investment. So if you can beat the brakes off of Melvin Gordon this year and then let him walk, I know that sounds a little bit cruel, but that's kind of the way the football goes. Also with the running back position, especially, not a bad thing. Peter Middleton in the house over in Cambodia. He says, "How's everything going, Nick and Scott?" I'm doing well. My legs are a little sore. My feet are a little sore. A little tired, but we're here. And I just downed a monster coffee that I didn't even know I had in my fridge. So God bless. I'm doing pretty well. And he also says, "Nice stars." Well, thanks, Peter, for the stars. It's great to see. Let's keep going on this stock up, stock down. Quinn Miners, he talks about many thought that it would be a battle between Miners and Cushenberry. Fangio put an end to that on day one. A lot of potential with Miners, and he's doing well, but it's clear he's behind the learning curve, which is obvious coming from a Division III school. Offensive line is probably the hardest position group to evaluate without pads, though. Everything favors the defense.
And Nick, that's the key. You know, I mean, I went to a couple of Falcons practices over the weekend, and you can't even see the defensive line and offensive line. And frankly, there's no point in watching them until they have pads on. You can get an idea of footwork and agility and fluidity, but at this level, they should have that anyway. We're talking about NFL linemen. So until they lock up and start moving people around, you're not going to know. Now, is he behind the curve, learning curve? I'm not sure which play we're on. I'm going the wrong way. I'm jumping off sides, all of those kind of stuff. Yeah, that's okay. So I wouldn't expect Quinn Miners to be the guy right away at all. But if he's making Cushenberry better, then he's helping the team right now. And he'll learn. I mean, he is a rookie coming from Division III, but what Miners can do is move people. That's what he absolutely can do. So when they start going one-on-ones, when they start going blocking drills, when they start going running game, 3-on-2s or 2-on-1s, anything like that, you're going to see Quinn Miners shine because he is a people mover.
Do you think that puts him at an advantage at guard early on versus center?
We've talked about that a lot, that I think, he can play guard for sure. And in a pinch, he could play a tackle position. He's very mobile, despite the fact that he's, looks, the
belly,
the big beer gut, the Quinn Miners belly. I forgot what they're calling it up there. He's
belly of the beast.
Mobile. He's mobile. So, he played all three positions at Senior Bowl. Now, you don't want him at tackle, but he could absolutely be a guard for sure.
Mm-hmm. And Trevor coming in here with talking about Surtain, saying he's looking good. Looks like he's going to be covering tight ends over the middle, which, hello, all you people screaming for linebackers. Your answer was the 21st century version, a big cornerback. He read you and picked him off, which is what you want to see out of a corner. And it's pretty fun. I mean, a lot of Broncos fans, and you included, talking about the praise of Micah Parsons, who looks like to me in Dallas, they're actually playing him more at edge early on than outside linebacker or off-ball linebacker.
What do we talk about? That when we were comparing some of the edge guys, why did he slip? I'm like, this guy's smaller than Micah Parsons. I think it was the Georgia defensive end who had some knee concerns.
Azeez Ojulari.
He was, he was smaller than Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is running 4.3s. I think, again, if I'm playing Madden, I don't have to worry about the person or any of the character stuff, and I'm just playing a video game. Micah Parsons is a freak of friggin' nature. I mean, he was. I mentioned him being, he played himself into top 5 territory. I think one of the themes of the draft was if you're picking in the top 10, you're going to either get your quarterback of the future or you're going to get an exciting player. And Micah Parsons is that guy. So is Patrick Surtain. So is Kyle Pitts. Jamar Chase. So there was you either got your quarterback or a player that's going to be really, really fun to watch this year. This was a good draft.
Yeah. Nope. Absolutely. 100% agree with you there. Now talking a little bit about the running back position, Melvin earned his paycheck. Yeah, I said it. I think he earned his paycheck. The issue for me is that the Broncos, they didn't really know their window. They weren't a running back away from competing and using all that money on a running back. That's my biggest complaint. I know it's a little bit nuanced. And if you want to make the argument that the Broncos absolutely needed, God bless. If the Broncos actually needed that running back position to make sure that Drew Lock developed, that's about the only argument I could hear.
Well, here's my argument on it. What didn't they get because they paid him? They had the money, right?
Yeah.
So did they lose? Did they lose out? It's not like they're right up against a cap. Did they lose something? Sorry, we couldn't pay this guy and we lost him because we paid this guy instead. Did that happen? Then don't worry about it.
Yeah, I guess they could have put more money in the offensive line, that right tackle position, just something more steady and staunch there.
Though. That's still a choice.
Yeah, right. That's true. Yeah.
So it's not that it's like, sorry, we would have been able to pay that guy, but we ran out of cap space. No, there's still a ton of money there. So it's been a choice that we don't want to pay this right tackle. We don't think that that's the right fit. It has nothing to do with Melvin Gordon.
Very true. Steven coming in here rocking the I love that color combination with the old school Broncos uniforms, those bright AFC West colors back in the day. Says, hey guys, Drew is my quarterback. Well, sounds like so far it's leaning his way. So that would, you might end up happy there. Let's keep going on the rookies here. Baron Browning, static. He hasn't played because he's been on PUP. So we'll find out. It might be a redshirt year for Baron Browning, which is fine because he's a third round pick. That's pretty much what you expect for most third round picks anyway. McTelvin Najim, late third round pick last year, earlier than Baron Browning. Got a redshirt year last year. Some snaps, looked whatever. He's actually looking pretty good in camp. I think we're going to talk about him a little bit later. The one I think has been pretty interesting here, though, Caden Stearns. Eric writes, Stearns has probably been the second most impressive rookie for the Broncos, and it may not be that close. With his fellow rookie safety Jamar Johnson out, Stearns has seemed to really take hold of the number 3 safety spot, and Lex Sertan isn't looking like a rookie out there. There's been a lot of praise for Stearns already after the first 5 days of practice. It isn't just on the field that Stearns is drawing praise, but also in the film room. Kareem Jackson spoke up with how Stearns is picking up things quickly in the film room and then carrying it over to the field and not making the same mistakes. That is high praise for a young safety that hopes to continue a tradition of Fangio, who has handpicked a lot of mid to late round safeties during his coaching career and coached them on to success. So, Caden Stearns, I know that a lot of people in Broncos country were way more excited about the Jamar Johnson pick, but Stearns was I think a 5-star recruit, went to Texas. Probably there was a quote from Dane Brugler saying that how Stearns still had newspaper clippings about how great he was from his freshman year that he would still read and bring out and show to people. So he maybe a little bit too high on himself, but the talent was always there. Maybe he just needed to mature a little bit.
Well, Texas has kind of been the place lately, the past 10 years or so, where 5 stars have gone to die. So, maybe he needed to remind people, hey, just because I went to Texas doesn't mean I was overrated and stunk it up, though. If you were 5 stars and ended up in the 5th round, the evaluation was either off or something happened. So maybe it's it's strange to say that about a Longhorn, but maybe it's a little bit of little man syndrome. Hey, don't overlook us. I know we haven't been very good lately, but we can play too. So if you get him in the 5th, plays himself into a 3rd spot as a safety, that's a pretty good pick.
No, really, for a 5th round pick too. That's another reason that unless you have an absolute game changer at the position, someone like a Kyle Hamilton, it's a position I'm not looking to use until 3rd round onwards. I mean, Justin Simmons, there's an example for you. I think he was a compensatory pick even. One of the best safeties in football, didn't have to use a 1st round pick on him. Then that's true for a lot of safeties.
The Falcons had to have a safety, and they waited until the 40th pick to get one. So, to your point, and that was seen as a bit high, actually. Yep. But they had to have a safety, and they waited to 40 to take one.
It's a devalued position, probably in comparison to how much value it actually has. So I think there's a market deficiency at safeties and slot cornerbacks.
Well, and the other point of that is safety is so much about experience and anticipation. Is you can see guys move back into safety. It's if they slow down a little bit, it's your instant impact as a safety more maybe going forward, making those highlight plays, tackle behind them, but the anticipation and the stuff that you don't always see to shut down a pass that never happens, that's more important. And you see that from veterans. You see that from guys that have been in the league a while.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, US Dave, for the stars here. It's your wife's monster. She's going to kill you. Well, probably. But I'm already dead inside, so I beat her to it. So the next one that I want to talk about here is Jamar Johnson. He's another not applicable because he's on the reserve list. One that kind of brings a tear to my eye. Seth Williams, wide receiver, 6th round. There hasn't been much said about the rookie receiver, but Denver is really deep there, and the team has Trinity Benson and Kendall Hinton really showing up right now. Those two stepping up is not great news for Williams as he tries to make the Broncos roster. There have been some good catches from Williams in practice, with one being a touchdown on a slant route. That is being said about him. What is being said about him is clear. He is using his size to win plays. With his play style, it will be interesting to see how much he improves when the pads come on. So that's a great point. Pads coming on today. Seth Williams, a physical receiver. You expecting more from him now?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. We talked about him. It's like he's got the physical ability. Flat out. He's a big time, big play making receiver, a clutch guy, but he never quite hit it. Was it Auburn's fault? Was it on Seth? Not sure. He put up some good numbers, but I am expecting bigger things from him as he moves forward. But again, it's 4 days in. Is it going to happen right away? Maybe not. Where he can start. He's going to have to show himself in special teams with a player of his size and ability. He can do that because he can start knocking some heads around. If he's coach, put me in a gunner. Let me go get after somebody on the wing and go get a punt returner. So, but as they do running games and when he starts blocking people and getting downfield and blocking people, he'll stand out a little bit more. But he's going to be working with a third team, and he's got to earn his way off of that. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy.
Nope, absolutely correct. Another stock down, unfortunately. Kerry Vincent Jr., he's been on the reserve list, and he did come in for a single practice, but seemed to get banged up and left. So maybe Kerry Vincent Jr. is on that practice squad route right now. That'd be fine. Jonathan Cooper, another one. There hasn't been much said about Cooper. Draymond Jones said, though, that he will give 100% effort, no drop-off, and it's exactly what was seen in Cooper's tape. He's an effort player that never shuts off or slows down his motor. And the last one, Marquis Spencer, probably the most unheralded pick of this Broncos draft class. I'll be honest, I did not put him under the microscope until after he was drafted because can't get to everybody. But he was a 4-star recruit, I believe. And Eric wrote, Fangio spoke to how well Spencer is doing in camp so far. While the rookie has mostly been working with the third unit, he has made plays in camp. The bigger news is how he is taking to coaching and really putting in the work, both of which were concerns coming out of Mississippi State in the past. So mostly static news, I guess, for that back end there. Those picks, those are guys I'm going to be excited to watch during preseason, but I'll say it 100 times on here. Anything after the top 50 picks, if you can get anything out of those guys the rookie year, that's gravy. Other than that, they're seedlings. I'm going to let them grow.
And Jonathan Cooper is one of those that's a little undersized also. So he was another one I was thinking of talking about, him and Baron Browning aren't much different in size, 6'3", 250, 258 maybe. He's not huge, especially if you need him to lock down a 3-4. So he's got to be able to play that outside linebacker or be a specialist. And is he active enough to be, mobile enough to be an outside linebacker? Probably not. But can he do a job as a specialist coming in as a rush? We'll see. But again, why was I so high on Micah Parsons? Because he's that size, running sub 4.4s with shuttle and L cones. It was insane. So Marquis Spencer, if you watch a junior college game in Mississippi, Mississippi's got a really good junior college program, Mississippi, Kansas, and then there's some good ones scattered throughout California.
There's one in Iowa.
If you go watch a junior college game in Mississippi, you'll see loads of big, mobile, active defensive linemen. You feel like you're watching a D1 game. A lot of those guys can't get out of the junior college system. And I think what's the show I think has done a good job of highlighting how difficult that path can be. Last Man or Last Chance U or something like that.
Last Chance U.
Of how hard it can be, because everybody that has a red flag on them for some reason, grades, injury, undersized, whatever, and getting out of there can be tough. So coming from that, and he spoke about being raw and all that type of stuff coming out of Mississippi. He's not one of these coached up Metro Atlanta kids whose parents are dropping them off in the Escalade. Who's had a personal trainer since they were 10 or 11 years old. he's got a chin, but 6'4", 310 pounds. He'll be fun to watch. He'll be an interesting one to watch this summer. And
I'm just looking for the raw tools, right? Like the burst, the strength. I'm guessing the technique, the pad level is going to have some issues early on. That's okay. We're just looking. He's a ball of clay, and if he could develop into somebody that I'm really excited about Draymond Jones this year, but somebody that where you're like, okay, we love Draymond Jones. Do you want to pay him that massive contract with 7th round rookie salary Marquis Spencer waiting in the wings? That's 2 years from now, obviously, so things could change a lot. But that's what you want to have happen with those back end players. It's not that Draymond Jones. I've been pounding Draymond Jones's drum since we drafted him, but it's just to have you give yourself leverage options so you can go a multitude of directions. So that's the ideal scenario. Peter coming in here talking about our safety conversation just a bit ago. If tight ends are such a big threat in our division, why are safeties still undervalued? It's the market, man. It's just they don't get paid really. I mean, John Johnson III got paid practically peanuts for the Browns this year, even though he's one of the best safeties in football right now. A lot of those guys, unless they were first round picks, don't get paid. We're going to see Jamal Adams, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Derwin James get massive contracts coming up here. But for the most part, I would say that there's deficiency in that market for paying safeties.
Well, and the market for anybody in any walk of life is how easily are you replaced? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So, if you've got a guy that can do a job out there, it's like a utility baseball player, or, again, ask yourself, how easily is this person replaced? If it's really hard, they're going to make a lot more money. If they're out there just holding a spot where, okay, if this comes into your area, you got to do a job, then they're going to be underpaid. So the thought process is basically we can interchange guys at safety. Somebody that's smart back there that can make a tackle and read a ball. That's not that hard to find. Kind of like, guard. Guards are going to be underpaid compared to tackles because 6'3" guys that are 310 pounds that can move a guy in front of you. They're not that hard. They're not nearly as hard to find as a guy who's 6'6" or 6'7" to do it. So that's why. In tight ends, I think tight ends are becoming more valued because as the game has moved more and more towards offense, the defensive ends are going to play tight end. It never used to be like that. No. Scouting players across the country, I used to say, how come no tight ends ever come out of the South, where 1/3 of all Division I prospects come? How come none come from the South? It says, because if you're big and you're fast in the South, they put your hand in the dirt and they put you down a defensive end right away. They don't let you play tight end. Tight end is where the guys who can't play defense play. That's changing. That's changing because the rules are changed. Who wants to play defense these days when you're not allowed to hit the quarterback? You're not allowed to cover anybody. You're not allowed to make a tackle in the open field if you put your head down. You're going to get held all the time on defense. So they're playing offense. They're saying the hell with this. So we're seeing an evolution of the position based on the rule changes.
Well, to all my listeners out there that have kids playing wide receiver, if they can stick at corner, get them there because they have a better chance to make money or get a scholarship playing that cornerback position. Mac 85 City in the house. Looks like you got a new picture there. Morning, guys. Good to see you, Mac 85. Hope you're doing well. Just about what you're talking about there, Scott, gonna have to put you over the coals. Pitts as an All-Pro versus Surtain as an All-Pro. Which would you prefer? What's more valuable? Surtain.
You go look and find who's your All-Pro tight end, and they're different. The difference typically, there's not as steep a drop-off. It's like, okay, well, this guy had these numbers, this guy had these numbers, and you can look at their production, and it's fairly flat, especially depending on what your wide receiver team is like. If you've got good wide receivers, there's only one ball. But a guy on defense can change a game. One guy on defense can change a game, and an All-Pro corner is going to be a lot more valuable. Let's look at their paychecks. Let's go see what the NFL thinks. It might be closer than you think, but my guess is the average corner salary is for a starting corner is considerably higher than the average starter for a tight end because they're harder to find. Harder. It's not that hard to find a guy that's 6'3" to 6'5" that can catch a ball and rumble down and fall forward for an extra 5 yards. Finding a guy who's 6 foot to 6'2" who can move like a ballet dancer and hit like a truck, they're hard to find. They're a lot harder to find.
And it's hard to find somebody that is as consistent day in and day out and supportive to any community, but especially ours, as Gary Leeds Palmer coming in with the stars saying, thanks, Nick and Scott. No, Gary, thank you. You're always so consistent, and we really appreciate you coming in here. Also, Broncos 17-0. Another consistent supporter with a $20 super, man, really showing the love. We appreciate it so much. Beautiful sunset picture that you got going on there as well. And a lot of orange going on in that on my screen right now because of that. I love it. I need more orange in my life.
So y'all probably had this too, but I went to Auburn. Colors were orange and blue. One of the bumper stickers is like, you can tell God's an Auburn fan because the sky is orange and other way around. The sun is orange and the sky is blue. Did that go around Broncos country too?
Yep.
I figured it had to. Okay.
I think
on a day like that, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful picture. Yeah, we've had some beautiful sunsets here, but it's been kind of ominous because of the smoke, right? Like it's just this so much haze and smoke in the air. So unfortunate on that regard, but control what you can control. So Tommy coming in, guys, if I could show you my kitchen right now, total remodel. Tommy, God bless you. Good luck. Hopefully that was your choice and not your arm being twisted there. So let's keep going here. I want to talk about while the rookies are fun, I don't expect that much from the rookies day one, year one, other than Surtain and Javonte Williams. Okay, we'll see about the rest. So that's great to hear their stock is up. And it's also, honestly, I think it's even better that Javonte Williams is being the running back 2 for Melvin Gordon early on, just because of the longevity of the position and how many years you have him. But the ones that really interest me are the veterans on here that are fighting for battles and how their roster positions shake out. And Eric also did an article over on Mile High Huddle. You guys can go check it out for 5 up and 5 down in the stock. Stock up number 1, Trinity Benson, wide receiver, somebody who I don't think we've spoke about on here once yet. But Benson's been catching touchdown after touchdown. It will be interesting to see what he does, or if he makes the team. And he says starting up right away was Benson, who has made big splash plays every day of practice so far. He has been hard for majority of the cornerbacks to hang with. Benson has really good speed, and it seems that his route running has also taken a large jump. There was always a chance for Benson to make the roster, but it was as a special teams player that may no longer be the case with how well he's playing. And the next player he speaks about whose stock is unfortunately plummeting.
Well, and you talk about Trinity Benson, just looking at his bio, East Central Oklahoma. I've been around this game a long time. I don't know that I've ever heard of East Central Oklahoma, except when I'm like making fun of somebody going to some East Central Texas State, Oklahoma West, making a joke like that. So we talk about raw ability, coaching, that type of stuff. Now, I'm not saying that they couldn't have phenomenal coaching at East Central Oklahoma, but it might take a little bit longer to adjust to the speed of the game coming out of a place like, East Central Oklahoma. So a second-year receiver, we talk about guys that are making the jump. Jerry Jeudy have to make the jump in their second year. Well, what do you think the jump has been like for this guy? I'd be interested to see where Trinity is making those moves. Is he doing 1, 2s, and 3s? Is he getting some work against any second teamers, or is he doing it mostly against 3s? But the whole point is, and this is what we said about Seth Williams, we say about anybody, when you get your shot, you got to take it, and then you got to move your way up the ladder. And it sounds like he's doing a really good job of that.
Yep. No, absolutely. He's getting a chance, and he's shining. Unfortunately, somebody that I think you and I both liked coming into this year because of the talent has been struggling, and that is 7th-round pick from 2020, Tyree Cleveland. And Eric writes, while Benson is making big plays for the offense, Cleveland is limiting them. He's had a drop on a big play each day so far in camp, and that is killer with how many receivers the Broncos have pushing for a roster spot. The good thing for Cleveland is that it's still really early, so he has a chance to cut back, but he has to cut down on those drops. So not good. I know that he's dropped multiple big passes from Teddy Bridgewater so far, but Tyree Cleveland. What was that?
He's biased. We know that Tyree is a Drew Lock fan. No, I'm just kidding. When you're out there fighting for a spot, you want to catch anything that's near you. The thing about the drop passes and stuff is in a short sample size, which we're at right now through 4 days of practice, it can turn around in a day. It can absolutely turn around in a day. So, and to his credit, Eric says something about that. The good thing for Cleveland is it's still really early in camp. Yeah, it is. So he's got time to turn it around, but the early returns have not been great for him so far.
Yeah, unfortunate.
And someone's got to go. We like a lot of these receivers, but half of them aren't going to be there come September 15th. And it's going to happen. Who's going to be the odd man out? There's a lot of talented guys on this team.
Yes, there are. The wide receiver room and the cornerback room, probably 2 of the most talented. I don't know if those are the positions where you want the most talent on your team if you had to pick, but that's where the Broncos stack up right now. And just a few years ago, they were terrible there. So crazy how fast things can turn in the NFL. Then just goes to show how much roster turnover there is. Stock up, and this is one that I'm sure Broncos country is very excited about. Justin Strnad. Eric writes, before he got hurt last year and missed the season, Strnad was consistently getting praise during training camp, and that is the case again this year. On day one, it was mentioned multiple times how he was flying all over the field and making what would be big plays for the defense in a game setting. Josie Jewell was dealing with a tight groin and held down on Saturday's practice, and that saw Strnad work with the first team, and he stood out. So, Justin Strnad, another one, guys, you're talking about using a first-round investment. Sure, first-round linebacker, there's always a time and place where it could be worth it. I don't think you need to use that type of investment to find a good linebacker in today's NFL, especially with Vic Fangio, with how little he asks of his linebackers schematically. And Strnad looks like he's playing himself not only into potential playing time this year. I don't think he's going to push for a starting job this year, but he's going to make it so that the Broncos have an easier decision moving on from either Alexander Johnson or Josie Jewell in the offseason.
It's hard for me to say too much about him because we haven't seen him, so I'm looking up his just raw numbers and stuff, but 240 pounds, 6'3", 240, that's nice. In a 3.4, you need a big body out there. 4.49 shuttle coming out of Wake. And if you've got that kind of ability, physical ability coming out of Wake Forest, typically you're going to be smart. So, coming out of the ACC and having a year away from the game can make you want it that much more. It can make you that much hungrier and come back when you know what you've missed. We talked about that with Sutton before. Sitting out just makes you work that much harder, and you can actually come back better because you had a glimpse of what life without football is going to be like, and you don't like it. You don't like it at all. So, some of these things you can kind of take for granted until it's taken away from you, and it makes them come back stronger.
Absolutely. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. Ken Booker in the house saying, good morning, guys. What are your thoughts on Warren Jackson, wide receiver from Colorado State, undrafted free agent? His combine numbers are some of the worst, yet he had 77 catches, 1,100 yards, and 8 touchdowns. I'm going to throw out a name for you, I think Warren Jackson is a less talented version of this person, but Auden Tate, Florida State, 6'5", couldn't separate worth a lick, found a niche at Cincinnati, but Cincinnati still went on and used the 5th overall pick on a wide receiver this year, 33rd overall pick 2 years ago. Not enough. Auden Tate was not enough. Warren Jackson, while he's big, can't separate. Also, I think there is some concerns there with the character. I think that led him to Colorado State, if I'm not mistaken. So in today's NFL, the biggest thing is, can you separate? Can you create separation? Everybody can catch somewhat, but can you separate? Warren Jackson can't.
I got news for you. I mean, combine numbers, some of the worst. He's 6'6", 220.
Yeah, he's mostly a tight end almost.
Let's drop his combine numbers in with the tight ends and some of the linebackers and see how they do, because a 4.5 shuttle isn't bad. 100, a 10.3 broad jump is really good, especially at that size. And he's got a 34-inch vertical. So when you want to create separation, you know where his separation is going to come? Up there.
Above the rim.
His separation is going to be coming from up high. So with those kind of numbers out of Colorado State at 6'6", 220 pounds, I'm more concerned about his hands and body control, not necessarily, blazing speed. There are guys that are 6'6", 220 that can run in the 4.4s. They go top 5. That's a different level. Can you get a guy that can do a job? I'd be real intrigued. Y'all know my bias about big receivers. I would certainly take an interest in what he can do when the ball's thrown his way, because his separation is going to be vertical.
Yep, that's a good point. It's a good point. I haven't heard much about him so far in camp. One big receiver we have been hearing about is Cortland Sutton, and Tommy comes into the comment here. Tommy Simmers over on YouTube. He says he keeps seeing reports that Sutton isn't yet 100%. Should he be faded in fantasy further than his current average draft position of 7.09? I think the answer is yes. I think Sutton is somebody who, I really try hard not to draft Broncos in general because I'm afraid I'm going to be biased and overvalue them. So I don't take them. Also, then it's a double whammy if you're a
curse like I am, you work that to your advantage and you draft rivals.
Okay, well there you go.
It's kind of like hedging. You say, all right, either I'm going to win or they're going to lose. I'm okay with that.
I only have one rule in fantasy football, and that's I don't have the I don't want to use too many bad words, but I'll never have Tyreek Hill on my team. I refuse. He could be there in front of me. The last pick of the draft, I'm not taking him. Refuse. But I would fade on Sutton a bit. I think he's going to be great this year, but I think he's going to be better later. So Sutton, I'm not saying that he's going to be bad this year by any means. 709 maybe a little bit high. And he's somebody who, like, by week 6, 7, 8, when he's like, oh man, what's going on with Sutton? Judy's getting most of the targets, blah, blah, blah. Buy low. That's when I'm like, okay, maybe I can get a good return on this right now while Sutton's stock is low.
Watch the waiver wire. Someone might give up on him early. You know what they're
That'd be
saying?
foolish.
They might give up on him early.
Yeah. I'd honestly draft Jerry Jeudy over Sutton.
But typically, for a skill guy, a true ACL recovery is 18 months.
Yep.
I mean, to be back to 100% is 18 months. Now, the bigger you are, the less you are reliant on quick twitch, which helps Sutton as opposed to a smaller guy like Hamler, who we'll talk about next. But still, 18 months for a full recovery on an ACL is pretty standard still.
Yep. And we got some news coming in here. Todd Davis retires officially. Signed with the Giants. Now he's officially retired. So injuries, I know he had a little bit of injuries later on. Bronco there at the linebacker position for a few years. And now on from football. So shout out to Todd Davis. Pretty good there in the Broncos middle for a little bit. Didn't pay him very much either, which is good for the linebacker position. He still made money. But sorry to see you go, Todd. Good luck to you, whatever's next. So moving on here, still, we talked about Justin Strnad stock up. What are your thoughts, I guess, about, you said you hadn't seen him very much, but just how it plays out?
I don't have many. Just the fact that, a kid from Wake at 204, 6'3", 240, I'd be interested in seeing, obviously. So a big body, smart kid. And again, should be hungry coming off of an injury where he had football taken away from him for a year. And he's a little older. I think he's almost 25. So mature, he should have some of that kid stuff out of the way, and be ready to attack this. So, is he's inside and outside, or is he strictly inside? We talked about the inside linebacker position being a place where we could see some improvement, where we could see some guys step in because they're fairly blue collar in there. So adding some more competition in there, adding another big body who can run, it's a good thing.
Yep. That's 100% agree. He actually tested like a lesser athlete than Josie Jewell even did, which people don't think about that. We got a cover linebacker. But for that linebacker position, I'm fully of the belief. Like, it's obviously great to be huge, to be a superstar athlete, but the processing speed, the instincts, give me that 20 out of 10 times for the linebacker position. Because I've seen plenty of guys who are amazing athletes don't do anything at the linebacker position because they just do not see the game. They can't process it.
Yeah, there was a safety that was at USC that I've already forgotten him. That's how forgettable he was.
Taylor Mays.
Taylor Mays. When I first moved out to California, I'm from the South. Eric Berry was in my backyard. He came to one of my first combines that I ever went. So I'm a big Eric Berry fan. And Eric Berry was phenomenal. I move out west, and USC fans, I've never seen anything quite as overhyped as USC football players by the local media fans. And they're talking about Taylor Mays being better than Eric Berry. I'm like, you're out of your mind. Taylor Mays was in that Boss Bailey mode where one of the best athletes you'll ever find. But I kind of joked about the anticipation thing. This is like, I do a skit of Taylor Mays, at safety, kind of at the snap. This is Taylor Mays.
Yep.
And then boom. And then he's 4'3", 220 pounds of rage and fury, and he looks good, but he didn't make any plays.
Nope.
Like, when I was doing NFL Network, I was talking about him, and I was like, this kid's not a football player. I would turn him into a third down specialist, and you got one job. Go get the quarterback. That's it.
Yep.
You make a lot of money like that. So anticipation, one step of anticipation is worth 1/10 of a second on a 40. Easy. So it's a big deal.
Yep, absolutely. So that's it'll be interesting for Strnad to see if he can take a spot there. Stock down KJ Hamler as a returner. And Eric wanted to be clear on this. Hamler's stock being down is only as a returner, as a wide receiver. His stock is exponentially up. He's made big plays and been hard to hang with. As a returner, though, Hamler is struggling to field punts cleanly. Denver has been clear it wants improvements from the return games, but to get that, you need to put the ball on the field cleanly. Hamler's electric with the ball in his hands, and punt returns would be a natural way to get the ball in his hands. but he's not fielding punts very well right now. So Trinity Benson stock up in the punt return department as well. Unfortunate for KJ Hamler, stock down because, like Eric said, he's electric. You want to get him the ball. Let's keep it rolling here because we already.
Real quick on this, I had a very quick comment on Hamler. A guy with dodgy hamstrings, I don't return him punts. I don't want him on special teams at all, period. So he might be just spiking those things down.
Yeah.
I don't want to return punts. If your biggest worry about KJ Hamler is keeping him healthy, I don't want him returning punts for God's sake.
No, that's a good point. I mostly think about it as a roster spot thing, but if you're trying to keep that guy healthy with the hamstrings, maybe returning punts isn't the best. So good comment there. Stock up. This is one that I thought would be very possible. Called for patience there because just the natural trend of the position. Lloyd Cushenberry. And Eric wrote, after what was a really terrible rookie year, Cushenberry is getting a lot of positive comments early on. It's unpadded. Offensive linemen we're going to find out about Cushenberry this week. But so far he's checking all the boxes. Cushenberry is moving quicker, reacting faster, and seems to have a much better understanding of blocking assignments. Additionally, he seems to be more comfortable calling stuff out of pre-snap, which was hit or miss last year. And that one of the reasons the Broncos struggled up front with the quarterback and the offensive line. So great to see Cushenberry improving there. It should have been expected year 1 to year 2. I made the comment many times on here that the Broncos' last 2 starting centers didn't even make the active roster their rookie year. They're both practice squad guys, and Matt Paradis and Connor McGovern. So now to see Lloyd Cushenberry getting that year 2 bump, it's great. And also it means there's less pressure on Quinn Miners to perform early on. So that would be great.
Yeah, we hit on this a little bit earlier when we were talking about the rookies, and we'll just roll into Miners on this also. Right now it's about knowing your assignment, which is all fun and games. You can see a little bit about, how are the people's feet moving, how are the players moving, their fluidity, their athleticism, that type of stuff. That's all you're really going to know. So who's ahead in play recognition and calling that stuff out, and as a center calling out protections, the second year guy should be ahead of the rookie for sure. But one of the interesting ones for sure, as we'll move to the next one that's stuck up, is McTelvin Agim. And we've said this before, that the lines of scrimmage are grown man positions. Those guys play for years and years and years because the quickness goes away a lot faster than strength. I'm as strong now as when I was 18 years old. I couldn't catch that kid on a bicycle, but at 50, I'm as strong as I was then. It doesn't go away. So when you're coming into the league as a rookie, and you're going against 28-year-old men who can bench press a piano and squat a house, it's a tough transition to make. Everybody in there is a grown man. So, and frankly, learning how to be a pro in there is important too. So him making that big jump as a 3rd-round draft pick from year 1 to year 2 isn't unexpected. Maybe how much he struggled could have been a little unexpected as a first-year guy. But if he's doing the right things, he should be making this jump. And I'm glad that, because what it says to me is he's doing the right things now.
Yep, absolutely. So that's great to see. Eric said stock down for Quinn Miners. It's just because he's having a hard time with some of the mental stuff, with stuff that we said we were guarding against this whole time. So we already talked about Miners. Stock up. Here's one. McTelvin Agim.
That's who I was talking about. Did you get glitch?
Yes.
Did you glitch? That's who I was talking about for the last 90 seconds.
Okay, goddamn. I was like, it's frozen out. I'm going to sit here. And he's back. McTelvin Agim. People are asking also, is Agim going to chance to start by the end of the season? I'm going to go with no. Shelby Harris and Draymond Jones should be starting still. But it'll be great to see Agim on there this year. You've got
to have multiple defensive linemen.
Yes.
Have to. I mean, you need to go if there's, if you're playing a 3-4, you need to have at minimum six defensive linemen that are rotating in and out of there. So whether he's a starter or not isn't necessarily as important to me as if he's contributing when he's out there.
Yep. I totally agree with you there. It's also, people always, I'm going to harp on this so many times, but these draft picks, they're investments. It's not just what's this year. It's year 3, year 4. You still have 3 years left of control with Agim. You only have 2 years left of Draymond Jones. You just paid Shelby Harris, but essentially it was a 2-year deal. You need to have contingency plans in place where these guys that you drafted, that you develop, maybe can be cheaper, maybe not as good, but if they can provide 80% of the product for 50% of the cost, that's a win. That's how you keep these rosters young. That's how you can turn over talent and continue to pay the stars that you have to pay to retain them. So that's a way to go. Stock up and stock down. I'll just read some more here. We have stock down for Cortland Sutton because of the knee. He'll get out there, guys. Just going to be a little bit patient. Stock up
for some of the stock up and stock down. It's what are your expectations? So for you to be up or down, you have to have a starting point. So if I've got an expectation that Sutton should be where he was 15 months ago, then I'm probably going to say down. But compared to, where he was 6 months ago, stock's way up. He's out there working. So he's got some work to do for sure. But the expectation shouldn't be through the roof in August for Cortland Sutton.
Nope. I 100% agree with you. It might take half the year. It's going to be fine. We also have stock up for Patrick Surtain. I already talked about that. One that caught my eye here that's a little bit unfortunate is stock down on Mike Purcell, which the Broncos are going to need this year. I know he's coming off the Liz Frank injury, but let's see what Eric has to say. Now, this isn't just because of the ankle sprain Purcell suffered during practices. In fact, it almost has nothing to do with that. It deals more so with the fact that this is a team that will likely be in nickel or dime packages 80 to 90% of the time, which means no nose tackle and could hurt Purcell. To get Sutton on the field, to get Surtain on the field, it will mean that more often than not, Purcell is coming off. That leads to Purcell's stock being down. So this is more of a personnel reason for being down. And what are your thoughts there? Because you're still going to have some need for a. Am I frozen out? Did I freeze out?
No, you're glitching a little bit. My thoughts on this was Eric was reaching for something
Scott,
to finish with.
Are you there?
That Eric was reaching a little bit for
to
something to finish with, so he threw Purcell out there. But for what it means, though, is what you take out of this is that the base 3-4, throw it out the window. We're not going to worry too much about what the base defense is going to be. If you want to see Surtain playing in that joker position, I think we call it a star or a jack or whatever. A freelance role, playmaking role, then someone's going to have to suffer, and it's going to be the big heavy guy because you're facing passes 2/3 of the time instead of, it used to be run, pass. Now it's pass. Maybe a run.
Yep, absolutely. Nope, you are 100% correct there. So, guys, I think that's going to have to do it for us today. We're at 56 minutes right now. It's going to take me that long. Also, my internet is all of a sudden starting to blip out a bit. So I'm not sure if it's StreamYard or people in the house waking up and getting on the internet. Who knows? But thank you, everybody, for joining us today. First, before we even move out of here, I want to say thank you to everybody who donated today. We got Anthony Bomber, Robert Reibel, Peter Middleton, Stephen Baumgartner, US Dave, Broncos 17-0, and Gary Leeds Palmer. If I missed any of you guys, please let us know. Thank you so much for everybody who joined us. You guys can follow myself and Scott on Twitter, myself at Nick Kendell MHH, and Scott at Scout Kennedy. Also, guys, while you're over on Twitter, follow us at Huddle Up Pod and at Mile High Huddle. Facebook folks, please go to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. Join those communities. A lot of good football talk there to be had. Good communities. You guys know each other on here. Take it over there as well. And let's continue the good times, good vibes, especially with padded practices coming on. If you guys are joining us on YouTube today, please subscribe, like, and share. Also to my YouTube folks, make sure you go check out Scott's channel. He's going to do some Falcons talk here soon, but it's football time, right? It's fun to talk all these different teams. So make sure you follow Scott's channel. I just posted it here. Click that. Scott, how are we doing on subscribers? Where are we pushing?
Steady about 825. So I need another 200 or so to start monetizing that channel. And it's kind of it's a little bit of a catch-22. It's like, I don't want to do more until it monetizes, but I got to do more to monetize. So, one of those things. What I need is a partner. I don't like a workout partner. When you're sitting there by yourself, like, man, I don't feel like doing this. But if you've got a date with somebody, by God, I'm not going to let that person down. So we can talk some quarterbacks on Thursday. I promised EJ I was going to watch some Spencer Rattler. I watched the Cotton Bowl last night against Florida. Against Florida's JV team anyway. I think they had like 40 people show up to that game. So like what I saw for sure. And I watched a lot of the off the ball stuff to see how his coaches and teammates responded to him. So we can talk a little bit about that, because we've talked about character might be a concern with Spencer Rattler, but I like what I saw for sure.
Absolutely. And see everybody coming in here. US Dave Lance this one. Since you had a super chat earlier or stars earlier, no tandem of 1,000-yard rushers. I'm going to go with no. I don't think you're going to see that many yards on the ground from this team this year. So I don't think the offensive line is dominating enough to get there. I think the offensive line will be fine, but I don't think they're just.
I think that was a comment about pass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was in the timing when that came through. Yeah, it's gonna be tough to have a couple of 1,000-yard rushers when you're passing once every 5 plays in the NFL these days.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So have a good one, guys. We will see you on Thursday, same time, same place. Until then, go Broncos.